Slowest countdown ever. Shalom, shalom. What's going on with y'all, man? Wait for a little bit of people to get up in here and get into today's lesson. Shalom, Taki, shalom. That's right. Beautiful sister Zamra, shalom. You know what I'm saying? All right. You know, we can get things popping. It's Wednesday, ain't it? God damn. We back with another installment with the Couch Captivity Created. It's your boy, Officer Quadoc. In case I don't even know your boy's an officer now. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, last time I was here teaching, it's the takeover. You see Sergeant been here for a minute. You already know. Like, listen, it's my show. It's our show now. It's our show now. I ain't gonna say it's mine. It's our show now. But you know. But shalom, family. Glad to have y'all back. Just had an amazing day of atonement. You know, hope everybody was able to endure through that day. Hope everybody was able to get through their fast, you know, and had a nice, you know, little get together after to break the fast as well. Because you gotta remember it's a holy convocation. But you know, coming out of Day of Atonement, it's like it's a refresher, it's a reset, right? Atone for our sins, you know what I'm saying? Now we got in a sense a clean slate, right? Get a bit of a heavy burden off of us, right? But the thing that brothers need to understand is that this walk ain't easy, first and foremost, right? What do I mean by that? Well, coming from the world into this truth, it's a whole lot of burden that we got to carry on our backs, right? Like people's, you know, brothers' kids getting taken away, brothers' wives getting taken away from them. You see what I'm saying? All types of things that happen, all types of temptations that happen, right? Because as soon as you come to serve the Lord, right, you got to realize what you're signing up for. You got to count the cost in a sense, right? Because at the end of the day, this walk ain't for the weak, right? This walk is for certain brothers with a certain strong spirit upon them to go out there and labor and do this work, right? That's the one thing we hope for, is for the laborers to go out and do this work, because that's what's going to get out of this. That's what's going to get us out of this captivity faster, right? But with that being said, of this walk ain't easy. Sometimes brothers fall off. Sometimes brothers fall short. It happens. It happens to the best of us, right? But we have to realize how much grace and mercy that the Most High has with us. Doesn't mean abuse it, right? But we have to understand, with the fall, we can't just stay falling. We got to get back up, right? Because it's going to become a time on your walk where things are going to get rough. Things are going to get tough. And you're going to feel like giving up. You're going to feel like giving in. And sometimes you will give in. But just because you give in doesn't mean you have to stay down in that lowest state, right? Because in that lowest state, you get into much more folly, right? But we have to understand, when we fall, there's always an opportunity for us to get back up. Go ahead and bring that up in Proverbs 24 and 16.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16. For a just man.
Go ahead, let me bring it up on the. Okay. Shalom to everyone that just came in, man. Getting the lesson started already. Going into how sin starts in the mind, right? So go ahead and bring that out.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16. For a just man falleth 7 times.
It says a just man falleth 7 times, right? Aren't we just men on this walk, right? justified by the Most High, right? Because of us putting in this work, he can vouch for us. But at the same time, we also have to endure the tribulation that we have to go through being on this walk, right? And like I said, it ain't easy. Sometimes brothers fall. And when that just man fall, right? Go ahead.
And rises up again.
He rises up again. He said he fallen 7 times. 7 times is a complete number. Because, you know, saying that I always constantly hear is that it takes some stuff to happen for niggas to learn, right? So 7 times being that complete number, you probably got to go through whatever you're dealing with multiple times. And you have to rise above it multiple times as well in order to get it, in order to get it right and not fall into it again. But on the flip side of that coin, go ahead.
But the wicked shall fall into mischief.
But the wicked shall fall into mischief, right? A wicked man will fall and he won't get back up. His spirit is weak, right? He just wants to indulge in his wickedness, right? That's what we should fear becoming. That's what we should not be becoming, right? Because at the end of the day, there's so much resources in this truth, you know, for us not to get back up, for us not to get back on the right path, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're not using those resources, you have to ask yourself, are you really in this thing, right? Because there's a difference between being there and being there, right? Any brother or sister can come to camp and listen to what's being said, right? Any brother or sister could come and congregate with the body, right? Probably listen to the lessons that's getting out. But you can see them always kind of cast away to the side, not really engaged in what's really in front of them. You see, someone who wants to be here, who wants to be in this truth, is going to be constantly engaged with it. Is going to be constantly occupied with it. Being there for the brotherhood, being there for the work, being there for the body, being there for the congregation. You see what I'm saying? Being there for your brother when he needs you, right? So he might also give the same energy that you give him, right? Because brotherhood is one of our best resources. It's one of our best resources where I can rely and call on the brother whenever I need some help or advice, and I'll be able to do the same for him, right? That's what we should be depending on whenever we do come across a fall in our walk, right? See, we got to be honest with ourselves as well, because if you can't be honest, if you can't take accountability for your actions and accept that you've fallen, you want to be so prideful that you don't want to tell nobody, that starts eating you up inside. The wickedness just starts eating and chipping away at you to that Holy Spirit that the Most High put in you is gone. Now you all somewhere else in some other religion or back in the world doing, you know, a bunch of folly. So being a just man in this walk, when you fall, you got to use those resources you got to get back up, right? Go ahead and give me the book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 28, right? Because in today's lesson, what I'm going to show is when you've, even if you have fallen or are going on a fall, how to get out of that state and how to avoid getting into that state. Because at the end of the day, it's a warfare, right? It's spiritual warfare, but it's the warfare that's inside our minds, right? It's the wicked thoughts that are in our minds, the things that we ponder upon. We have to be temperate, right? In case I didn't know, we have a lesson about temperance, which is having control over your spirit. You have to have a level of temperance to avoid these things, to avoid getting yourself into this state, or even helping the brother getting into that state as well, right? Go ahead and bring that out.
It's the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 28.
Bring it out.
For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more.
If at first you don't succeed, you want to try again. You want to try harder, right? When you go astray from the Most High and you realize that, you try to get back up, you got to realize you got to put in even more work than you have before. Because obviously the amount of work and effort that you were putting in while you're doing that fall, it wasn't enough. So when you get back up, you got to realize that there's more of an effort that you have to put in. You got to seek the Most High 10 times more. Because best believe that Satan's going to be seeking for your fall 10 times more as well. Every single time you fall, until you stay in your mud, your folly, your dumb, right? The throw up as a dog that he goes back to, right? So when our minds go astray, we need to remember to come back to the Most High God, but seek him to the best of our ability, mind, body, and soul, right? Now, let's go ahead and get into Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Right? Because we see examples of this throughout our Bible, right? Which is a book that you should be constantly occupied in, which is part of the trick of not going down that path of falling, right? We'll show you, right? A clear example. Go ahead and bring it up.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he shall show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee.
We got to remember the days of old, right? Consider the years and the generations before us. There's plenty of examples of that in the Bible. The very first example in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve. What was Adam and Eve commanded to do? Not to deal with the serpent, right? But what happened? Eve was enticed by that serpent, listened to what that serpent was saying, and went off. And then she also brought the downfall of her husband as well, right? So the thing that we got to realize is that sin, it starts in the mind, right? Eve thought whatever that serpent was saying to her, it sounded good. It sounded real good. Good enough for you to go against the Most High. You see what I'm saying? You know, Sirach 2:1. When you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. Because Satan's coming immediately when he finds out that you're out here trying to labor for the Most High, when you're trying to do anything that to serve the Most High, right? So looking at that example, it's listening to what the serpent was saying or seeing what the serpent was presenting. That's where we got to start it, right? Give me Give me Matthew 6 and verse 22, right? Because we have to realize how we even get that wicked thought into our minds, right? I'm gonna give an example. Think of it as a seed, right? Think of it as your thought as a seed. When you constantly think about that seed, you're watering it, and eventually it's gonna grow, right? It's gonna grow into an action. It's gonna grow into a work, whether it be a good seed or a wicked seed. You see what I'm saying? But it's all about you giving that time and energy into that seed, right? Go ahead and bring that out.
The book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
The light of the body is the eye.
The light of the body is the eye. One thing my pops used to always tell me, you can tell a lot about a person if you look them in their eyes. You see what I'm saying? Also, another thing too is you always look somebody in the eye when they talking to you, right? You can tell when somebody's on some funny stuff when they don't want to look you in your eye, right? Go ahead.
If therefore thy eye be single,
If thy eye be single, go ahead.
thy whole body shall be full of light.
Thy whole body shall be full of light. What is this getting into? Go ahead and read verse 23.
Verse 23. But if thy eye be evil,
But if thy eye be evil, go ahead.
thy whole body shall be full of darkness.
Thy whole body will be full of that darkness. Why? Because your eyes are one of the gateways to your spirit, right? To your la'ab, right? You see something, right? You meditate on it, right? And when you continue to do that, eventually it's going to bring forth into an action, whether it be light, which is righteousness, or whether it be for evil, which brings your body into darkness, which subjects yourself into sin, right? Which bring forth death, right? So one thing we have to realize is, what do we meditate on? That's what I wanted the title to be, as that, because I was trying to remember. I was like, I had a specific title, but it slipped my mind. It's about, what do you meditate on, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's really going to decide if you're hot or you're cold or you lukewarm in this truth. Because like I said, it's a difference of being there and being there. A part of being there, which is being engaged in this truth, you're constantly meditating on this word, right? But on the flip side of that, you could be that person that's just showing up just to show up, to seem righteous, but then you leave camp and you're meditating on the folly that's around you, right? Go ahead and give go ahead. Yeah, you can finish that.
If therefore the light that is in thee be darkened, how great is that darkness?
And that's powerful, because it's a very overwhelming darkness, because you keep constantly meditating on that wicked thing, right? So then your body's going to be consumed with darkness. Y'all got to realize the times that we're in, right? This captivity, this new revised Babylon, it's one of the worst captivities we've been in, right? You see all the wicked stuff that's going on today. Some stuff I can't even talk on just because it might get the video flag, because this place supports that wickedness and it's the backbone for that wickedness, and it will allow it to overshed its light over the world, right? Let me see. Shalom. What are some resources we can use to get up? I'm gonna get into that. Brother Shayazah, that's a good question, right? We're going to get into that. But one thing that I just mentioned is brotherhood. You got to rely on your brother when you're falling. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, might as well give me Sirach 6, right? That's the next place I was going to go anyway. That's through the spirit. Because it's something that brothers constantly do, right? And it may not realize it, but it comes from a prideful place. That's seeking thine own counsel, right? Let me get that. Verse 2. Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6, verse 2.
Mm-hmm. Extol, yeah.
Not thyself in the counsel of thy own heart.
Get out of your head. You can't solve everything by yourself. You see what I'm saying? Without the guidance and the true light that's in this book, if you're not going by those guidelines, you most definitely can't get through the situation that you're in. It's one thing that this book tells you about is brotherhood, for sure. I'll tell you that much, right? It's talking about extol, is talking about putting yourself above, right? You think very highly of yourself so much that you don't need any help, right? You can do it all yourself. I can deal with it. I can get through it. But at the end of the day, that's not how this program works that the Most High set up for you. You see what I'm saying? The Most High set up a beautiful program. for you to get help. All of us need some type of help, because we might lack in one place where another brother that we do the work with is strong in. So why not rely on that brother who's strong in that spot to get you strong as well? See what I'm saying? And it works both ways. That's how we be a functioning body. How can a body function if we're a bunch of prideful people inside our minds thinking we can do everything ourselves? You damn near thinking you're the most high God. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we rely on our power, which is Abanawi Yahweh. You see what I'm saying? You don't like Chief was saying on one line, you don't want smoke with the Most High. You don't want problems with the Most High. He is the Most High power, so why not rely on him? Why not go by the blueprint that he set up for us, right? Go ahead.
Come. That thy soul be not torn in pieces as a bull strays along.
Because when you're constantly up in your la'ab, in your mind, right, in your heart, right, your soul starts to be torn to pieces, like we just read in Matthew 6. When you're seeing that darkness and that's all you're focusing on, that's all you're meditating on, it consumes your body, and your body is full of darkness. Your soul is getting torn to pieces, right? I don't know if anyone's familiar with like herds of cattle, right? But when it's talking about a bull straying alone, when a bull or a cow leaves its herd and it's all by itself, it gets into a bunch of folly. It might fall off a cliff, it might drown in the river, get stuck in a hole, it might walk itself right into the slaughterhouse. You see what I'm saying? That's what you want to avoid, right? You have to get out your head. You cannot do it by yourself. That individual-like mentality has to stop. Because you can't sit up there and be like you in the truth and be like, we all got to unify and come together, but you're constantly by yourself, trying to figure stuff out by yourself. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead and read verse 3.
Verse 3. Thou shalt eat up thy leaves.
Thou shalt eat up thy leaves. What are leaves? We understand leaves are doctrine, right? Go ahead.
And lose not thy fruit.
And lose thy fruit. Fruits going into the works, the actions that bring forth from that doctrine. Go ahead.
And leave thyself as a dry tree.
And you'll leave thyself as a dry tree. Right? Because once your soul is starting to get torn, all that good doctrine that you learned on this walk, it goes to no use. You see what I'm saying? And the Most High will take that from you. Like you said, he will spew you out your mouth for being lukewarm. You will lose that fruit. You see what I'm saying? But also, let's get a little deeper on that, right? Let's say, for instance, that you're someone that people look up to, right? You're guiding a flock. When you start to fall and you're not strong enough, what happens? What happens when you cut the head off the body? It can't function, right? You ever seen somebody cut the head off a chicken? It's all over the place, right? Like I said, you lose thy fruits, because when you put it forth that work, we're trying to seal the elect. We're trying to bring in the fold. We're trying to teach the fold. We got to be the pillars of the community for this fold. But if those pillars start breaking, then the community falls. You see what I'm saying? Got to have a solid foundation, right? Go ahead and read verse 4.
Verse 4.
Go
A
ahead.
wicked soul shall destroy him that have it selected.
Right. A wicked soul is going to destroy him that have it, right? Go ahead.
And shall make him to be laughed to scorn of his enemies.
All the silly stuff that you do, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're constantly in your head and you by yourself and nobody's your friend, you start to look at the people around you as enemies. You start not to like your brothers. You start not to like your neighbors. You start not to like people who are righteous, right? So you see them as your enemy. But at the end of the day, when you're consumed by wickedness, that wickedness is going to lead you to destruction. And what are we going to say? I mean, it sucks, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a big fat I told you so. Look at him. He could have simply got help. All the advice that we give him. You see what I'm saying? All the game not soaked up. Just for him to end up back in the world into folly. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing funny about it, but he just looked goofy. Like my favorite brother from Riverside say, hey, a GAB. You know what I'm saying? A goofy ass, you know what I'm saying? Right? That's what we don't want to be. So, like as Iraq says, don't extol yourself in the counsel of your own mind, man. Get out of your head. Get help. That's what it starts with, right? Go ahead. Give me the book of Psalms, chapter 101 and verse 3, right? See what we got going on in the chat. Let me see the chat real quick. Psalm 101 and verse 3. There we go. Go ahead.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 101, verse 3. I will set no wicked thing before thy eyes, before my eyes.
Go ahead.
I hate the works of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me.
Right. You don't want to set no wicked thing before your eyes. Why put yourself in that position to indulge in that wickedness? Like I was saying before, it's easy. It's not. It ain't a thing. We're submerged in it. This captivity is full of wickedness. Death is what Tupac say. I see death around the corner. It's literally lurking around the corner. It don't take but a thing for the Most High to take that spirit off you. It's a lot of things that can get you to get off this walk. You see what I'm saying? Like I brought up before, you got to seek the Most High 10 times more. You got to be hardly at work because your adversary, right, Satan, he's hard at work as well. You got to outwork Satan. And that ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? That ain't easy, right? Shalom, Rappa Hall. Shalom. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see. Shalom. Shalom, Alton. Shalom. All praises. Now, you good, man. You good. We just getting started. You know what I'm saying? But it's always good to go and look back, you know, whenever we finish the live. So you good, man. Content is here. Let's see. The brother Shayazad said, he said, being an individual like prevents brothers for holding you accountable. God, that's right. It prevents brothers from holding you accountable. You constantly in your head. Because obviously you don't got what it takes to hold yourself accountable, in which you should. But we all got to start somewhere. So, Don, you on point. You on point. All right. Go ahead and read that again.
The book of Psalms 101, verse 3. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes.
Right. You set no wicked thing before your eyes. Why? Because the eyes is one of the gateways to your soul. It's one of the main things that is on you to focus. You see something, you're locked in, right? You should be focused on this video. You see that like button, you should click it. You should see that subscribe button and click it as well. You see that share button, you see it, share with your brothers. You see what I'm saying? We trying to stop brothers from falling off, right? And it starts, right, with sharing this video and liking it. So Yasharala can see this. So a brother that's just now starting his walk can see this as well, so he can gird up his loins, man. All right. Go ahead and give me the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23. Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23. Yeah, Robert Hall, we about to eat. You know what I'm saying? I know it's kind of late, but this ain't no snack. It's an extra meal. You know? What's up?
What did he call?
Deuteronomy 7 and 7. First Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23. For those of you who don't know, this is War Dog Gamon, man. War Dog of Long Beach. Powerful elder. You know what I'm saying? His favorite book is Deuteronomy. You know what I'm saying? Ask him any question about it. Just have him read about it. You know? Have him read about it. Go ahead.
First Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. All things are lawful for me.
Go ahead.
But all things are not expedient.
Good Lord.
Go
ahead.
All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not.
Right. What we call them? We call them those gray areas, right? Oh, well, you know what? That ain't the law. I'm going to do it. Right? For example, I know a brother who found out, he had a contention on weed, right? Because there's no straight up law that say you can't smoke weed, right? But we'll tell you, right? Don't smoke it. You can eat it, right? You can eat it. So pretty much started eating, right? And it started out as I'm gonna do this maybe like once or twice a month. I get a call from little bro, right? I'm like, hey bro, what's up, bro? I haven't seen him in a minute. Oh man, he's just been popping eggs like such and such every day. I'm just like, what happened to the one twice a month type thing, right? Few months down the line, talk to little bro. Hey, what's up? What's up, bro? He good? How you doing? I haven't seen him in a minute. Man, that nigga went back to smoking blunts. Wow. And what'd he say? You can't tell me it ain't you can't tell me it ain't unlawful. That brother fell out the truth. You can't make this stuff up. Man, brothers got to be accountable. That's just at the end of the day, that's just what it is. You got to be accountable for your actions. You can't be weak in this walk, man. Because, like I said, it's a lot of things out there that will cause you to fall. Don't be that wicked man that. Give me Sirach chapter 32, verse 17. You can't be the one who constantly is finding every reason just to do the wickedness that you do, just because it ain't a law on it. Because watch this. Okay, so if we're gonna go that route, niggas can do heroin, meth, cocaine, and all types of drugs because there's no law against it. See, we got to be smarter than that. We got to be way smarter than that, man. Because at the end of the day, a brother who's going down that road, he just wants to go down that road. He wants to do that, right? Go ahead and bring it out.
The book of Sirach, chapter 32, verse 17. A simple man will not be reproved.
A sinful man will not be reproved. Sometimes time and time again, a brother has to hear it over. And we can see by a brother's actions if he's trying to get right. But we can also see when a brother is not trying to get right and he's constantly reproved. Why? He's not taking that reproof because he wants to be sinful. He wants to be wicked, right? Go ahead.
God. A simple man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will.
Hey, listen. I'm not saying I'm wicked, but it's something that Bazak says that I personally should work on, and that's stop defending myself, right? Take heed to the counsel, take the rebuke, shut up, and do better. Because I'm not wicked, but that's what a wicked man will do. And that's what will lead you to being a wicked person, right? Because like I said, the eyes and the ears are the gateway to your soul. So when you're shutting your ears up, right, you're not getting the righteous reproof that you need to stay on track, to do better, right? Go ahead, Brother Raul.
What's another adjective for expedient?
Another adjective for expedient.
It's not a simple and fast. You know, it doesn't happen right away, or it's not simple.
It's
Take your time.
yeah, it's not.
Well, expedient means like
I would say
it's
useful.
it means worth the effort.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But the way Paul is saying it is, it's not expedient, meaning that it's not just, hey, it's all good. You gotta weigh it up.
right. Because if you don't weigh it out, you know, it's
So, all things are not lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. Not all things I should weigh out. I'm sorry,
No.
I'm having a hard time.
Not all things are all good
right.
right away. You know what I'm saying?
Not all things are useful for this walk
Meat.
that you're on. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Meat.
Meat.
Not all things are meat.
Yeah, not all things are
Right? Convenient.
convenient. There you go.
Convenient.
Yeah,
Practical. You know what I mean?
right.
Thanks.
Come on, of course. Where are we at? So give me give me 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 20.
You guys read Sirach?
Yeah, we ready.
Hell was I?
Yeah. Profitable. Profitable. Right? A lot of the sisters Zamara, right?
Is it Proverbs 6?
No,
Yeah.
1 Corinthians.
1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 12. Somebody give me a water bottle, Michelle. My parched. It's hot up in Cali, boy. It's hot up in Cali. I hope y'all brothers out there staying hydrated. This heat ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? The water. The water for the water. Go ahead.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 12. All things are lawful unto me,
Uh-huh.
but all things are not expedient.
Right.
All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any.
I will not be brought under the power of any. That's the goal. Not to be subjected to that thing that's not expedient for you. Because not every brother is strong in the spirit to rule, that to have that temperance, to have that rule over the spirit, to be subjected to that wicked thing, right? To that thing that's not expedient for you, just because there's no law against it. That gray area, right? As we say, brothers got to be accountable, because at the end of the day, you know better. When you know better, you know better. You should do better, right? But go ahead.
Yeah, so you know, the dictionary definition of that would be like convenient and practical, right?
Right.
So the word practical really applies there because, okay, let's just say, hey, there's no law against going to the club and watching a concert. But if you know you're gonna get in the club and fall into all kind of stumbling blocks, then it's not practical
Exactly.
for you to go to the club because that can lead to other things.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and give me the book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 13, right? Because there's a lot of things that aren't expedient to us in this world, right? It's vast majority. Remember, only 1/3 of our people are going to make it out of here, right? That's 2/3 of our people being destroyed. Also, like all the heathen that are up in here are going to be destroyed as well. We're submerged and surrounded by wicked. We're outnumbered. We're outnumbered. So we have to rely on the Most High power to stay strong in this walk. Because if you're not, It's a deep sea out there, man. It's a deep sea out here. We're on the raft, right? We on the raft. Go ahead.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 13. Enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
Exactly. You want to go down that straight, narrow path. You got to get in the zone. Can't let nothing on the side distract you. Move straight forward. Because on the broad side of things, it's a whole lot of wickedness. Like I was saying, we're submerged in this wickedness, man. Broad is that way that's going to lead you to destruction. Right? Going down that path of temptation. Right? Go ahead and give me the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, right? Because that's one of the biggest things that throws brothers off is temptation, right? So now we're going to get a little bit deeper into how temptation comes about, how Satan uses temptation against you, but then also how to avoid falling into that temptation, and also what happens when you get enticed by that temptation, right? Go ahead and bring that up.
It's the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the man that endures temptation.
Mm-hmm.
For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to him that love him.
For them that promise that love him, we love him by keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, and keeping the faith, right? It's not an easy thing to endure through all these temptations. Like I said, like keep saying, you're gonna hear me keep saying this. We're submerged in wickedness. We are completely surrounded by it. So best believe when you endure unto the end, right? When you do that long suffering, best believe the Most High has a prize for you when you get through all that. And that is that crown of life, right? And he promised that to us. Go ahead.
Back at the precept that I use for that is Ecclesiastes 2:1. My son, if thou serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
You got to prepare your soul for temptation, man. You got to gird up your loins. You got to stay strong in the spirit, because it could be temptation, right? But it could also be the test that the Most High puts you through as well, because you're gonna go through hell in this captivity, and sometimes it gets to a point where brothers just can't take it, and they just fall off, not knowing that it gets a whole lot worse. But we gonna get into that. We gonna get into that, right? Let's James 1, right? Let's get into this temptation. Good precept. Good precept. Verse 13.
Come, this book of James, chapter 1, verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God.
Mm-hmm.
For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man.
So when you're tempted, you can't blame that on the Most High, man. Because who does the Most High use to tempt you? He uses Satan to tempt you, right? Y'all know the story about when Satan took Yahushua on that mountain. He said, I can give you all of this, right? So like, we go back to the chat real quick. I think I just saw the water, Carlos Anderson. Keep the $5 drive alive, man. Keep the $5 drive alive. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before. Somewhere. Anywho, right? We have to realize on that same note, Satan tempts you. He's not exactly the one who's doing everything. Sometimes you do it to yourself, right? Go ahead and read that next verse. Oh, the point that I wanted to make, right? When he took Yahushua on the mountain, he said, I'll give you all of this. You know what I'm saying? I give you all of this. Right? Of course, Yahushua didn't do it. Right? I know some of you niggas would probably just do that shit for a little condo up in downtown LA. Right? Shit, not even maybe even a block a mile from the lick for the less. Really? It's listen. For even less than that. Say you don't even have to tempt some brothers for the whole city, right? For the whole kingdom. Some brothers will do it for less, right? But let's go ahead, right? Why do I say you do it to yourself sometimes? Go ahead and read verse 14.
Verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
Hold on. Read that again.
Verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
By his what?
Own lust.
By his what?
Own lust.
It ain't Satan's lust. It most definitely ain't the Most High's lust. You can't put that on any other brother. Why? It's because it's your own lust. Let that sink in. You do it to yourself sometimes because you let that seed, that wicked thought, just sit there and you're watering it and you're letting it fester and grow. And then all of a sudden, Satan comes along, right? You get tempted and you're back in the BS. And you're just like, what the hell just happened? Looking so confused. You did it to yourself because it was your own lust that you couldn't control. What's that? What's that precept? Vile affection. Give me the vile affection, Bible shot. Give me the vile affection. Right? Because brothers got to understand, man. The mind is a powerful thing, and you don't want to waste it. But at the same time, your mind is like a storage space in the computer. It stores data, right? Sometimes you got to clear out that data to make space for some more, right? Us coming into this truth, we got to clear out Romans 1. Yeah, get that Bible shot.
1:26.
We got to clear that space to bring in some better data, right? Some righteous data. We got to clear out the wickedness and bring in the righteousness, right? But this is what happens when you keep that wickedness stored up, right? Go ahead.
It's the book of Romans.
Go up a little,
yeah,
go up
yeah,
a little,
yeah.
go up like a couple more verses. Go up to like let me see. Go up to
22.
the 21st point. Go to 4. Verse 22.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 22.
Salakia, read from 21.
Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Ooh.
Neither were.
Hold on. Listen, there's something. Listen. If you know that hot and cold scripture, you would know that it'd be better that you didn't come into this walk, that you didn't have that knowledge, than to have this knowledge, waste it, and go off. Because you come into this knowledge, you know the Most High. You know what these scriptures says, so you know better. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Extolling themselves in their own minds, right? That's Sirach 6. Go ahead.
Neither were they thankful, but because vain in their imaginations and their foolishness heart was darkened.
Right. They were not thankful. They didn't appreciate the Most High waking them up out of that darkness, right? The brother got a precept he gonna pull real quick. Yeah, kind. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. That's the scripture I was just quoting. It was better that you never knew this thing than to come into this truth and just go off. Just put the Most High on the back burner. Forget about him. Forget about his program, right?
You quoted that earlier too.
Verse 22. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire, right? You going back to the BS, right? And you know what? We gonna jump the gun just a little bit. We gonna get back to James. I also want you to finish out in Romans real quick because I got another precept. I done lost my train of thought. God damn. what did I like? Oh, no. It's in Matthew. This 7 more wicked spirits. The 7 more wicked spirits. That's what I'm looking for. Give me 1 second, y'all. It slipped my mind with precept like this. I think it's Matthew 12. Matthew 12, verse 43 to 45. Yeah. Tonight I'm like, I know I had it written down somewhere.
I had it in Luke 11.
Yeah, there we go. Get that for me real quick, Baba Bashar.
Oh.
43.
I think I Luke 11.
There we go. You got it right. All right, now you go ahead.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man,
When the unclean spirit leaves, right? Go ahead.
he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none.
Why? Because that when that unclean spirit go out of you, right? Coming into this walk, like I said, this walk ain't an easy thing. You're walking through a dry place. We walk through dry places looking for water. It's hot. You're looking for rest. You got nowhere to lay your head at. You see what I'm saying? But we have to understand, we have to endure to the end. This is not your rest. You're not going to find that here in this captivity. Sorry. That's just how it is. That's just how it got to be, right? But that don't mean give up. That don't mean give in. Go ahead.
Verse 44. Then he said, I will return unto my house from whence I came out.
Going back to the place where that unclean spirit got to you in the first place, man. Go ahead.
And when he is come in, and when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished.
Go ahead.
Verse 45. Then goeth he and taketh himself with himself several other spirits.
Slow down. Shepherd.
Seven.
There you go.
Salakia.
Start that over again.
Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself.
Listen, man, listen. There's an example that I put out there personal about a brother I know personally fell out the truth due to, him not being strong enough to endure his temptation. And I knew him before I even came into the truth, right? It's like a whole lot worse when he fell out. Like a lot. Most High put him through the ringer, man. Most High put him through the ringer because he took them 7 spirits way more wicked than himself. He started to do things that I never thought he would be doing. Way more wicked than he was before. It don't listen. You can go back into the world if you want. You can go seek whatever is for you in the world if that's what you want to do. I'm telling you, it ain't nothing good. It ain't nothing good, man. Why? Because we see that the world around us is getting more wicked and wickeder every day, right? Day by day. So at that point in time, when you first came to the truth, it's wicked, but just know the amount of time that you're in this walk, the world is getting more wickeder and wickeder. So if you fall out this walk and you're going back into the world, it's not that world that you really knew. Because remember, your eyes were open to even just on a spiritual level. Your eyes are open to how wicked this place is, right? And on top of that, this place is even getting wickeder and wickeder. So when you go back to that world, you're going back to a more wicked world than you knew before, right? That's why it says it's better that you didn't even get this knowledge if you fall out the truth. I don't even understand how someone can survive having that knowledge and fall out the truth. I think I would go crazy. You see what I'm saying? But come on, that's just that's a quick little point I wanted to touch on, right? Because it don't get no better, man. It don't get no better when you return them to your vomit. It gets worse, right? Let's go back to Book of Romans. Right. There we go. Romans 1. I believe we were on verse. Go ahead.
The book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 23. And changed the glory of.
Oh, Salakia. Go back to verse 21. There's a part we didn't read.
Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Mm-hmm.
Neither were they thankful, but became vain in their own in their imaginations.
Right, they became vain in their imaginations, their own imaginations. Right, go ahead.
And their foolishness heart was darkened.
And their foolish heart was darkened by that wickedness. Go ahead and just jump down to verse 24.
Verse 24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness.
And guess what? Most High, hey, listen. The Most High make it simple. That's what you want to do. Go do it. Have fun. Right? It ain't a thing for me to just let you go back to that. Because that's what you want at the end of the day. You do it to yourself. Go. If that's where you want to be, then I'll put you there. Right? Go ahead.
Come. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
Once again, you do it to yourself. It's the lust of your own heart, your own mind. Right? Go ahead.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
To dishonor themselves. Right? It's something that's called. There's more on that actually. Go ahead. Keep reading.
25.
Mm-hmm.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the Creator more than
Slow down.
and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
Right. So they're changing the truth of into a lie, right? That Kundalini, right? That you're your own God. That God that they serving, that God is not real. That God that they serving, he loves everybody. He lets the wickedness that's around us go on. You see what I'm saying? That God is white and they're black. I don't even know why he worships him. Turn the truth of God into a lie, right? And they start to worship and serve the creature. serve man, to worship man, not even comparable to the greatness of the Most High, right? But go ahead, verse 26.
Verse 26. For this cause God gave them up unto foul affections.
Foul affections, go ahead.
For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Listen. For those of you who are behind the board and are reading this and don't understand what this is going into, have somebody explain it to you, because we're in a time and place to where if I get even a bit detailed about what's going on here and I sound like that I'm against it, this video ain't gonna be here for that long. So just read slow, right? And hopefully the viewers can get what's going on to this verse. Because at the end of the day, I ain't gonna say it, but you can't hate me. The Bible says it. The Bible tells you what a vile affection is. Go ahead.
Verse 26. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Verse 27.
Verse 27. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves the recompense of their error, which was met.
No, which was what?
Which was what? Which was meat.
Meat.
Pause. What is verse? I messed up, y'all. They taking it down. They take it just for that one. Just for that one. Ah man, what a time! What a time to be alive, man.
Bring that out.
Yeah. Let's get back to James, right? Let's get back to James, right? I was just an example of a certain vile affection that you can be given back up to. There's a whole lot of vile affections that you can be given to, man. Go ahead.
This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse
14.
14.
Yeah, 14 again.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
Did it to himself is his own lust, right? Right? Go ahead.
And enticed.
And enticed, right? Verse 15.
Verse 15. Then when lust have conceived.
Now we about to get into the process of when you're starting to fall into that temptation, right? When lust hath conceived, right? You're bringing forth a work, an action of you falling into that temptation of that lust. What happens?
It bringeth forth sin.
It bringeth forth sin. It causes you to go off. Go ahead.
And sin, when it is finished.
And when you done that dirty deed, whatever that dirty deed may be, go ahead.
Bringeth forth death.
And it bringeth forth death. Right? So, with that being said, now let's go into the instructions of how to avoid going down that path. Go ahead. Read verse 16.
Verse 16. Don't err.
Go ahead.
Don't err.
Don't err. Yeah. Err. Go ahead.
My beloved brethren.
Do not err. Do not err. Err. Let's get some interactions in the chat, right? Who knows what that word err or err means, right? Do not err, my beloved brethren. What does the word err mean? Let me see the chat. Elemental P. There we go. There we go. Powerful, powerful sister Zamara Ban Yum Yum. So wander. That's right. There you go. Powerful brother Karaz. To go astray. Right? See, let's break it down. When you have that wicked thought, because like I said, we're surrounded by wickedness, so it's not like we can't not see it and not think about it, but it's a difference when you're erring about it, when you're wandering, when you're going astray. You constantly start thinking about it. You start putting yourself in those situations, and you're meditating on that constantly. Don't do that. Do not err. Do not wander. Do not go astray, my beloved brethren. Because when you're constantly thinking about something, eventually it's going to bring forth an action. You see, when I say this, I know some people are probably thinking it's going to happen immediately. Because that's just, you know, that's just how we see it. We just thinking, oh, well, you think about it and whoop-de-wop, boom, it happens instantly. Listen, you can be in this thing for years. You could be what's the word? You can be headstrong. You can be headstrong, right? But if you're constantly thinking about this, it's chipping away at your spirit. It's chipping away at your soul. Eventually, it's going to break, and you're going to give in to that wickedness and bring forth the action, just because you constantly go astray on your own lust, right? And when we're talking about lust, you know, lust is to desire. You can lust over righteous things, but in this context, we're talking about lusting over wickedness, right? So there's something that I hear people do. It's a mental exercise. They would tell you for 30 seconds, try to think about nothing. Try to think about nothing for 30 seconds. Just try it. You'll see how hard it is, right? If you can even do it for about maybe 10 or 15, that's an exercise that you can use to avoid wandering and going astray on those wicked thoughts. Just clear your mind. Think about nothing, right? But I'm going to give you something even better. Let's get the book of Joshua, chapter 1, and verse. Oh, you had a precept? Come, go ahead. You can bring that out. You can bring that out. Because that goes with the, I gave way to your spirit, right? Go ahead.
Book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 17. Do not ye understand that whosoever enter whatsoever enter in at the mouth goeth into the belly and is cast out into the drop.
The drum.
Right.
The drop.
Verse 18, go ahead.
Verse 18. But those things which proceeded out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile a man.
Hey, listen, for those in the chat, you might know. Is this something you got? Is this something you want to tell me, bro? Something you got to say? Right? Tell me how you really feel. Expose those contents of your heart. Because at the end of the day, you said it. So that had to be something that you were pondering on, right? Just think about that. Let that sink in. Because a lot of brothers feel like Nah, I'm not about that. But you might be. You have to be accountable for your own actions. You have to know how to be solitary. Because when you're alone, that's the best time for Satan to come for you. And ain't no telling what you're doing behind our backs when we're not around, right? But just know when you come around, those word, every idle word, but also your actions as well. Just know it gives us quite a few ideas of what you might have been doing when you wasn't around. You see what I'm saying? So really understand where your head is at, because when we're dealing with the heart, we're dealing with your mind. You really need to understand where your head is at, right? You need to make sure that you're cleansed, you're purified, you're righteous, right? Go ahead and bring that out, verse 19.
Verse 19. For out of the heart proceeded evil thoughts.
Because out of your mind proceeded evil thoughts. Go ahead.
Murders, adulterers, fornication, theft, false witness,
snitching, not even a good snitch, right? Go ahead.
blasphemy,
And blasphemy, wicked lies, right? Verse 20, go ahead.
Verse 20. These are the things which defile a man.
These are the things which defile us. These are the things, these are the wicked thoughts that some of us might ponder on, might err on, right? Go ahead.
But to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man.
Right? So we have to understand, know the contents of your heart. And I'm about to listen. Give me Joshua 1:8. That's a good precept, because that's that. Now I'm able to expound a little bit more on this, right? Go ahead. Because it all falls back to what you meditate on. Because those things are proceeding out of your heart. Whatever you're meditating on perceives out of your heart. Right? It comes out of your mouth. Pause. Read that.
It's the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth.
It shall not depart out of thy mouth. Go ahead.
But thou shalt meditate therein day and night.
Thou shalt meditate in it day and night. 25:8, 144%. Right? Because you're constantly meditating on that, it doesn't give you any room to go off. But when you're constantly meditating on wickedness, hey, even if you're not constantly meditating on this law, there's that bit of space where a wicked thought can come in. Oh, that's all it takes. One little wicked thought. That's all it takes. So we have to constantly meditate in this word. We have to be occupied with prophecy. We have to be indulged in righteousness. Right? Go ahead.
That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein.
Because it's a blueprint that the Most High has set up for us to observe, right? To bring forth righteous works, righteous actions. Go ahead.
For then thy way for then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
Because this book of the law is something that is expedient for you. The things that you should be doing, the things that it tells you to avoid, right? When you do those things, you start to become prosperous in life. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1 to verse 14. If you do these laws, statutes, and commandments, these blessings will come upon you. Right? Go ahead.
And then thou shalt have good success.
And then you should be successful. You should be successful in anything that you do. But more importantly, you be very successful in this walk. Right? Give me let's see. because we just went to Romans 1, right? Boom, boom. Let's get Ephesians chapter 2 verse 3. Oh, now we know, right? To avoid getting tempted by our own lust, right? You have to meditate on these laws, statutes, and commandments, the wisdom that's in this book, right? To where it doesn't leave any space for you to meditate on anything wicked, right? That's how you not err into wicked thoughts. Because when you're constantly thinking about it, you have no room to think about the other stuff, right? Go ahead and bring that up.
The book of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 3.
Mm-hmm.
Among whom also we all had our conversations in time past in the lust of our flesh.
Give me the blue letter for that word conversation. I want to see what that means.
And a street photo. And a strap photo.
Go ahead, Strong's G390. And it says to turn upside down, to overturn, to turn back, to turn hither and thither, to turn oneself about, sojourn, dwell in a place, right? To conduct oneself, behave oneself, right? So it's saying in times past, we used to behave ourselves according to the wicked lust of the flesh that we had as that old man, right? Go ahead.
God, among verse 3, among whom also we all had our conversations in time past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh,
right,
and of the mind, and were by nature the children of the wrath, even as others.
And by nature, the children of wrath, even as others, right? Give me Genesis 8 and 21, right? Because it says, by nature, the children of wrath. I want y'all to think about that, right? Because you think about nature, that's kind of like where they tell you, you were born like that. That's your beginning. That's like your origin with that, right? But why? Go ahead and read that, right?
Book of Genesis, chapter 8, verse 21. And the Lord smelled a sweet savior, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil.
Right. For the imagination of man's heart is evil. And what?
From his youth.
From his what?
From his youth.
From his youth. Why is that? Think about this. When you were born here, whatever year you were born, did you have the laws, statutes, and commandments? Were your parents teaching you that? Right? Because anything contrary to that be wickedness, right? And those are things that's taught to us. We might get some of the wisdom that's in this book. We might hear it here and there, right? We have to learn through experience, but how much of that experience is through wickedness? How much of that experience is when you get put on your last for that wickedness, right? That's what that's going into when it's talking about evil from his youth. Because you didn't have that guidance of the law, statutes, and commandments, right? You didn't grow up on that. If we didn't have the law, statutes, and commandments, man, this earth would blow up. just blow up for whatever reason. It's gone, right? So we have to understand us naturally without the guidance of the Most High from his law, statutes, commandments, and his wisdom, we be straight into folly, right? Go ahead and go back to where are we at? In Ephesians.
Ephesians 2.
Yeah, Ephesians 2, right? Yeah, read it. You can read it again, 2 and 3.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 3. Among whom also we had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of our flesh and of mind.
Right. So in our past, we were indulged in wickedness. We have to put that wickedness behind us, and we have to meditate on what is good, on what is righteous, right? To avoid going back into that wickedness, right? Even when you fall into that wickedness, if you're a just man and you seek to get right, you need to start meditating more on what is good, right? Because if you don't, if you're not seeking the Most High 10 times more, then to me, you know, and what everybody else can see, you might just want to be that sinful man. Because listen, people mess up. We do. We mess up. All praises the Most High has mercy and grace on us to even give us an opportunity to come back from that mess up. But best believe you gotta really want it, right? So give me the book of Romans chapter 7, verse 23. Go ahead.
The book of Romans, chapter 7, verse 23. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members.
Right. So the law in our members is the fruit of the flesh, right? Because remember, we're dealing with spiritual warfare. There's a war going on in our minds. It's the flesh versus the spirit that wants to do right versus the flesh that wants to do wickedness, right? So we had to realize that it starts with our minds, and we have to work on our minds, right? Because like I said, with the whole natural thing, and like I keep saying, I said I was gonna keep saying it, we're surrounded and submerged in this wickedness, right? It's constantly coming at us every day. The temptation, right? Just it being there is a temptation, right? Because it's a spot where you were comfortable, where you didn't have to put the amount of work that you're putting in now to labor and seal the elect and get us the hell up out of this captivity, man. So have to work on your mind. That's where it starts. And what do we just go into? You meditate on the law, statutes, and commandments day and night, constantly, 25/8. This has to be your life now. Nothing else. This has to be your life now. Live it. Live it to the fullest. Be the best that you can be, mind, body, and soul in this thing, man. Give it your all. Go ahead. Brother got a preset, right? And I got a couple more. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Second interest. It's gotta be me.
Oh shit, I'm Salaki.
Let's see what he got. Ah,
I'll read it if you
that's
want
one
me
of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. Right. Start from verse 10.
Come. The book of Second Ezra,
Chapter 9.
chapter 9, verse 10.
Mhm.
For such as in their life have received benefits.
That's one temptation, right? Look at these idols. Look at these superstars that we got in Babylon, right? You're looking at them, you see they living good. I want to be like that. I want to get the benefits that they receive. So you start to imitate and do the things that they do. Half of these people don't even do the things that they promote.
Right.
And one might ask where these benefits come from. Listen, like I brought up the example when Satan took Yahweh Shai on that mountain. Hey, Satan can bless your ass too. Satan got blessings too, right? So you have to be able to discern where those benefits come from by a person's works. What is he really about? What does that person meditate on, right? Because in this context, the people that receive those benefits, go ahead,
Have not known me.
they have not known the Most High. They weren't meditating on the righteous things that the Most High has put before us, right? They haven't known him. They've known wickedness and keep doing that wickedness to receive these benefits. Go ahead, read verse 11.
Verse 11. And they that have loathed my law,
And they loathe the law. They hate those brothers that's on the block that's breaking down this Bible. They hate the brothers that's living out this Bible. They hate that we're coming back to our true heritage, man. They hate that. They loathe it, right? But at the same time, some people who they could be in truth now, they could be coming to truth later. They loathe that law, but eventually it's going to click for them. The Most High is going to open up their eyes and they're going to see that it's right for them, right? Go ahead.
while they had yet liberty,
But there's going to be that batch that loathes this law and not understand that they have a time to get their ish together, right? While they had yet liberty. Go ahead.
and when as yet placed the repentance was open unto them,
You see? And that all falls down to that wicked man that likes to lie in his mischief. That all falls back to that righteous man that gets back up after every time he falls, because that opportunity of repentance, that opportunity to turn back to the righteousness, man. Brothers acting like it's not there. It's there. It's now. But you gotta hurry up. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
understand not.
But you also have those people that don't understand that. They don't care about that. Go ahead.
But despise it.
And what happens after? What's the effect of that?
Verse 12. The same must know it after death by pain.
What I say earlier, sometimes it takes some ish to happen for niggas to learn, man.
Get 13.
And they gotta know it through death, by pain, through suffering, right? Verse 13.
And therefore, be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished.
Y'all heard the phrase curiosity killed the cat. Don't err on them thoughts about how they going unpunished. Don't err, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't err on that. Don't worry about that, bro. They gonna get what's coming to them. Go ahead.
And when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved.
That's what you should be meditating on. How to get saved out of this hellhole, right? Because best believe those who's receiving those benefits but don't know the Most High, they got what's coming to them, right? You be on the flip side of that and be the righteous one who's putting in this work to get out of it, to get being done, man. To be of that number, Lord willing, right? Go ahead.
Whose the world is, and for whom the world is created.
Con. Beautiful precept. Beautiful precept. Give me 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 5. bring it full circle, right? Hey man, precept upon precept, line upon line. See how these things connect, right? Go ahead.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5. Casting down imaginations.
Throw those imaginations down. Destroy them. How you destroy them? Meditate on something righteous. Go ahead.
And every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God.
See, there goes that word, exalted, right? What did we read earlier in Sirach 6? Don't extol yourself in the counsel of your own mind, right? You're not the most high God. You're not going to come close. You can't do it all by yourself. You need your power, Israel. You need your power. That's the power that gets you out of that lower state, back from a lower state that you fell from. Right? Go ahead.
And bring it unto captivity. No, Salaki, let me read it. Casting down the imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing unto captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
Control yourself. Bring in those wicked thoughts, right? Put them into captivity, right? And let your mind be into obedience of the things that Christ commanded. Love your brother. How do you love your brother? Keep the Most High God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Like I said, one of the best tools and resources that we got in this thing is brotherhood. Rely on the brother. Christ said that there's no greater love that a brother can give for another brother than to lay his life down. You got to be ready to die in this thing. That's a wake-up call to everybody. Because a lot of people can get comfortable in this thing and forget that a lot of us are going to get murked for this. A lot of us are going to lose our lives. A lot of us are going to lose brothers working right beside us. They're going to die too. On the side of righteousness. Right? Because at the end of the day, if you leave that room for temptation, because temptation could be anything. You could be tempted to get scared out of this walk, right? When ish get real. That's a temptation too. So it'd be expedient for you to start building your mind up to a point you're strong enough to where it gets to those last moments in these days. To where brothers are getting murked right and left just for preaching his word. Right? Yeah, the precept. Go ahead.
John 15 and 12.
This is the book of John, chapter 15, verse 12.
Okay.
This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
Go ahead.
Verse 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend.
Hey, meditate on that. Meditate on that. You have to really question, do you really love your brother? Are you willing to lay your life down for your brother? Are you ready to lose it all for your brother? Are you ready to lose it all for Yahweh Shah? Are you ready to lose it all for the Most High? Because that matters, right? Go ahead, there's more on that.
Verse 14. Ye are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you.
And what that Toy Story song say? You got a friend in me. You see what I'm saying? You got a friend in me. Right? Yahweh Shah see a friend in you. Right? If you do whatever he commands you to do, right? Powerful shit. Give me the book of 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 13. We're gonna land this plane. You extra. I just want you to know You extra. Instigated.
The book of First Peter, chapter 1, verse 13. Wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind. Be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought. So like it, that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Gird up your mind, protect your mind. Because we have to remember, and I keep saying this, we are submerged in the wickedness. It's a spiritual warfare that we got to deal with before we get to the physical. It all starts with that. Be sober, right? Just talking about being sober, right? You know, when you think about this, right? When you're not sober, when you're drinking, your thoughts can be kind of all over the place. Sometimes you can't think straight. When you're sober, right, you're able to think straight. You're able to do what you're supposed to do. No distractions, right? So when it comes to this walk, don't get distracted and tempted by these evil things like we read before. Don't worry about the wickedness. Don't worry about those other people that is going unpunished. Focus on what is required of you to stay on that narrow path, right? Go ahead and read that. Read the. There's more on that, wasn't it? Nah. You know, at the end of the day, you know, protect your mind and be in control of what you allow into your mind, right? I suggest, you know, I suggest a video that we did. It's called, I believe it's labeled Temperance Talk, where it goes into being in control of your spirit, right? I suggest for brothers to go look at that because that's also a good video on, you know, how to stay solid in this walk. Temperance, right? Temperance. One who taught that one. But with that, that concludes my lesson. Let's get into the chat a little bit. What's going on in the chat? We've been locked in. Let's see. See brothers dropping precepts left and right. Sound mind in a sound body. Yes, sir. Right. This lesson was powerful until you let loose your non-existent vocals. Listen. You trying to get his flag, boy. You trying to get his flag. I'll talk to you in the chat. No, hey man, haters gonna hate. You know, that's how you know you're doing the right thing. All right. Shalom to everybody who's in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Jeremiah. You know what I'm saying? Always good to see you, bro. Where you been at, man? Where you been at? We been on the block, bro. We been back on the block. At camp. So, oh, well, kind of. Cat, they spelled Padak wrong, but I guess you can still send it to there. You know what I'm saying? Cash App, $ Bazak, sending your alms, super chat as well. You know, that's the, if you want to support us financially, those of you too, you know, outcomes for us to, you know, give us revenue, right? Children's Bibles, Deacon, you know, you watch the show, you know it's promotion time. You know what we about to promote, right? It's your Children's Bibles, right? Deacon, newborns, by the way, for those who ain't know, I got one on the way, due soon. All praises to that, right? Last but not least, also, some who may have noticed that we do some extra content on Sunday as well. So tune into that. We're still trying to come up with a name. I vote Sofa Sundays, you know. But hey, if you can come up with something better, go ahead. But tune into that, you know, more content from the couch, you know, from the powerful brothers of Long Beach. You know what I'm saying? And what else is going on up in there? Did we miss anything important? Con. Hey, that's the goal, Jeremiah. That's the goal. To help the mind, body, and soul. You know?
One person.
All praises to the Most High. Give this brother Jeremiah a hand. Let me get the hand clap emojis in the chat. You know what I'm saying? For real. All praises to the Most High God. Hey, man, step by step. Let's not step back. Let's keep stepping forward, Jeremiah. All praises, man. That's a beautiful thing. Can't wait to see you at Camp King. Also, for those who are local and come to our camp, this Saturday, we are going to be in Arizona keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. So we'll be back the following Saturday after, right?
We rap a whole while.
Buy something, pay alms, or get 100. Hey, y'all seen that clip? The old boy from New York to put on. Knocked him, fell down. Hold on. Let him get up. Fight back, nigga. Fight back. You know, so you're gonna be looking worse than that, brother. You know what I'm saying? But calm, man. Water for everybody, giving the views. I hope you all like, share, and subscribe. It ain't never too late. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's over don't mean you can't still do it. All right? And be much appreciated. You know. So with that concludes our live. Yahweh by Hashem Yah Shabarak and Thumb. Man, y'all weak. Shalom.
Shalom.